Hey dolls, welcome back to your Royal BFF, the People's Duchess. Happy Sunday. Hope you guys are doing well. I am so well rested, ready for the week ahead. I tend to do all of my spring everything for the next quarter in May. From now to the middle of the month, I'm going to do all the things that I need to. And this is an episode that I've wanted to do for a very long time. We've covered Her Royal Highness's fashion aspirations in previous episodes, including Reitman's Really and her 15 best looks from Suits, as well as the Royal Fashion Inaugural. We've done a lot of fashion forward content on this channel. I have wanted to do something on SmartWorks for a very long time. This particular episode I've had probably sitting there for more than a year. So I think this would be a great time because it's spring and we're getting into, a whole new season, and revisiting this SmartWorks collection, I'm really hoping will inspire the Duchess to give us that collection that we've been asking for. So far, all of her collections have been for another company. So, like her two with Reitmans and her one with SmartWorks. I would love to have just a standalone capsule collection from the Duchess of Sussex. We're very close, right? Right now, we can shop her closet, and that's wonderful. But I would love to remind her how great it felt to be a part of this capsule collection from SmartWorks. Not that she could ever forget, obviously. But yeah, without further ado, I loved this collection. More than anything, I really love the play on the name, working in like a smart jacket or a smart dress, wordplay in and of itself, but works in so many other ways. Meghan is known for working smart. She's known for working hard, yes, but actually she's able to do all of the things that she does, this crazy schedule that she has, because she works smart at it. She times herself well, she manages the project very well. So the name SmartWorks is really indicative of how Meghan works and her whole vibe. Her and Harry both. It does seem like they have this endless amount of time in a day to do all these things, but no, they're actually really just pooling their resources and coming together to formulate solutions that work for them, which is very smart. So SmartWorks was not just a patronage of Meghan's. She maintained contact with them as she did with the Women of the Hub Community Kitchen and really all of her projects. She might have stepped down from being their patron, but she still maintained contact with them, which is really nice because every woman needs a bit of that pick me up, especially when they are going for a big interview. We're always in our heads about it. We're like, oh my gosh, am I wearing the right thing? We're always thinking like 2, 3 steps ahead. So having some things that you can just throw on to that first, second, or third interview is really helpful. It goes such a long way, especially when you include the bag and the accessories to it. This whole SmartWorks thing was such a stroke of genius as far as like a modern and fresh idea for the palace and for the royals in general. This was such a brilliant stroke of genius for them. It counted towards the royal initiative, right? Because it's under the royal patronage. But man, Meghan really knocked it out of the park on this one. So the collection itself was designed by Meghan and arranged in collaboration with other designers, notable designers, and launched in September 2019. The bags are lovely, they're spacious, perfect for your laptop and all the things that you might need to take to work. The blazer set is something that we've seen Meghan in time and time and time again. In fact, she wore the trousers and the Misha No New Husband shirt to the official launch speech. And it's no wonder that this collection sold out immediately. Every woman wants to look good in workwear. It's a really delicate balance sometimes between looking good and looking appropriate for work or looking frumpy and all those things. Women, unfortunately, we have to think about that. We can't just throw on a three-piece suit and call it a day. Or we could, but then there's those, comments about that too. Like it's not fair, but it's the reality of the matter. Women have a lot to contend with when it comes to workwear, including their sizes and their shapes and other things that might turn a regular outfit on one person into an inappropriate outfit on her. And it's wonderful that Meghan was able to recognize this and think of this while she was designing this collection. It demonstrates that she has a very working knowledge of what it takes to go on a job interview, get a job, want to pass that on to another person. Like she has a very holistic and well rounded knowledge base when it comes to the everyday person, because she is the everyday person. She's always been the round the way homegirl type of princess, which we appreciate. And this SmartWorks collection could not have been as successful without. So this is designed to give women like a simple, polished, interview-ready look. And Her Royal Highness worked with some of the largest retailers out there, including Marks and Spencer, John Lewis and Partners, Jigsaw, and Misha Nonu. So this SmartWorks set is famous for its patronage, obviously, by Her Royal Highness, the Duchess of Sussex, but also because it did so well. I mean, we all remember it selling out immediately, and then some of the bags ending up on eBay almost immediately, like being bid on for exorbitant numbers. Like, that was crazy. So much so that the brand had to put out like a notice and say, hey, this isn't the point. We're trying to help people here. Stop buying this on eBay. And the collection itself is really notable. They used the one-for-one model. So for every item purchased, one item was donated to the SmartWorks clients. And Meghan explained that the idea came from seeing that SmartWorks received a lot of clothing donations, but not always items that were the right sizes or practical combinations for the clients. So the point was not just clothing, but confidence, since SmartWorks focuses on helping women feel ready for the interviews and the workplace. So beyond the clothes, they also give them resume services, interview services to really prepare them for that work environment. The launch got a lot of attention. It tied fashion to employability rather than a celebrity style alone. And Meghan also framed the project as women supporting women and collective action among brands and charities and clients. And in the coverage of the launch, the collection was praised as a practical and modern workwear capsule. And the launch speech that she made drew a lot of notoriety for how personal it was to Meghan. And I actually want to revisit that video as well.
Hi everyone, thank you so much for being here today. It's very exciting and it looks beautiful, and I'm sorry if you were waiting for a bit in this sunshine, though. It's pretty nice to have such good weather. So I thought that it would probably be helpful for you to understand how we ended up here today and why this collection was so important to conceive based on the visits and what I was seeing when I was on site at SmartWorks. And let's maybe go back a little bit. Should I hold for sound? They're grateful, that's it. When I first moved to the UK, it was incredibly important to me personally to be able to connect with people on the ground doing really important work. And one of the places that I went to very early on was SmartWorks. Now, funny enough, and purely by coincidence, it was just a year ago at this same time that I was working on a project in Grenfell with this woman at a community center called Almanar, and that's when we put together the Together cookbook. So though this is a year later, and obviously this is fashion, not food, at its core, these are very similar projects because they're about women who are empowering each other, me being able to have the opportunity to meet them, get to know them, learn from them, and then say, what can I do in some small way? How can I try to help you amplify this? How can we make this even better, greater, and more impactful for the women that you're trying to help? So on my visits to SmartWorks, one of the times that I went, I realized there was a little bit of a challenge in terms of styling for the women because we had a lot of donations, but not necessarily the things that women needed to have. I said, okay, well, let's try to work with what we have and make the best of it. And then the next time I went, you'll remember this, there was a rack of about 40 or 50 lilac-colored blazers. Now, don't get me wrong. It's a great blazer, and I'm sure for someone, it's exactly what she wants to be wearing. But for most women, when you're going in there and you want to have a job interview and you want to feel your very best and you want to feel confident, you want to be wearing the pieces of clothing that make you feel that way, and not the leftovers that didn't sell from the end of the season. And I kept thinking about it as I went home, and it didn't track for me, and I said, we have to do something to change this. And a big piece of this is trying to transform the idea of charity to community. And the way that we do that, I think, as people, is when we go into our closet as a woman and you say, I'm going to make a donation, you don't go through your closet and just toss in a box whatever you don't care about anymore. That's charity as we know it today. Community is going through your closet and saying, this is the blazer that I wore when I nailed my first job interview, and got my dream job. And I don't need that anymore because I'm where I want to be. But if I'm able to share that blazer and be part of another woman's success story, then that's community. And so when I thought about it in that personal space, I said, on a bigger level, what can we do with brands, and what companies would be able to help us convene and come together to really build a collection for the women of SmartWorks that could be the pieces that they need to feel confident going into those rooms. This is sort of how we thought of the SmartWorks capsule collection. The first designer that I thought of immediately was a really good friend of mine, Misha Nunu, who's spent a lot of time with her brand ethos developing women's empowerment, but also specifically a capsule wardrobe. So you have key pieces that you can mix and match and really maximize what you have. We all know that in your closet, right? You have certain pieces that you can take from 4 items of clothing and suddenly you have 10 outfits. So that was really important. Separately, I thought, if this is going to be classics and essentials, what are traditional and quintessential British brands that I've become introduced to once I moved here that for me resonated and I knew would resonate with a SmartWorks customer? And that seemed obvious to do M&S and John Lewis, which I've worn quite a bit in the past year or two since I've been here, and they thankfully said yes as well, as did Misha. And the last company that I wanted to have be a part of this project was Jigsaw. And truth be told, that was because I had seen a campaign they had done the year before, that was really highlighting the diversity of the UK and the immigrant culture and how that was part of the fabric of the nation. And when I saw that, I was so touched by it. And I said, anyone who's seeing the world that way and seeing the community that way is someone that I think would be a great partner to have on this project. So they all said yes. And that was a great start. And so thank you so much for that. As we've seen this evolve, I think what's been really amazing is to know that these women will now be equipped in a project that will just be a couple weeks, but will give us enough units to be able to have the women at SmartWorks have these key essentials for a year. And that in and of itself, to be able to have one small project that has such big impact, is something that I'm really connected to. This is the kind of work that I've been doing for a really long time, and to be able to do it here in my new home of the UK means quite a bit to me. It's also the same vein of work that my husband and I will continue doing, really strong community-based projects. And this is something that we'll be excited to be able to share more about next year when we launch our foundation, Sussex Royal, in 2020. So I think at the end of the day, I just want to thank all of you for being able to be here, be a part of this success story for these women. I think it's really key in this day and age that we remember it's not just about the people that you know that you're supporting. It's about the people that you don't know, that you may never know, you may never meet. As women, it is 100% our responsibility, I think, to support and uplift each other, to champion each other as we aim to succeed, to not set each other up for failure, but instead to really be there rallying around each other and say, I want to help you. And you may not ever meet that person, but you'll know when you put on that blazer or that shirt, or you carry that tote or put on those trousers or that dress, that some other woman on the other side of this country is wearing that piece because you made that purchase. And that's why the one-for-one model I found was so incredibly important, and that's why I'm really touched that everyone agreed to do this business model in that way. One quick thing that I found out as we were in the car on the way over here was that the tote's already sold out online. So that's great. And my hope is for any of the brands, if you do have that level of success that you're seeing really early on, to hopefully amplify what you've been able to already be so generous in doing with your contribution, and extend it for just a little bit more so that everyone can play a part in this shared success story. So thank you all so much. I really appreciate it, and I will hand it over to you on the panel. Thank you.
Classic Meghan to think of the next woman, to pull others up right behind her as she's moving up in life. I mean, y'all saw how she pulled up Chartreuse the other day, right? Chartreuse, the Mary Magdalene of colors. She just pulled Chartreuse up right on behind her. And I'll never forget her on Larry King when he tried to assert that she wasn't the average woman, she was different and unique. And she said, look, okay, that's all well and good, but no matter what you look like, whether you're wearing a blazer or whatever, you should be taken seriously. That makes a whole lot of sense, and it's true. And Larry respected the hell out of her for saying that. And I have never forgotten about that moment. In fact, this is where a lot of the royals fall short. They rely 100% on looks and grandfathered in favorability. But once that faded, we've seen that it has faded since the passing of the late queen. We've seen that the looks part of it is fading for some of the younger royals who relied heavily on that up until now. Now people are asking, where's the substance? What's the benefit? Of what use is this to me? The grandfathered in respectability part of it has long since been buried. So you need the wherewithal, the communication skills. You should be taken seriously if you come in there being serious. But if you come in there waving your hands around and not saying much of anything, no one's going to take you seriously because you're pretty or because you were pretty once upon a time. No one's going to take that seriously. You need to go in there, read you a book, and come out with some answers. SmartWorks answered a dilemma that women re-entering the workforce were facing. It tackled a problem, and here we are, celebrating the resolution of those issues. We need resolutions to the problems that are most pressing to today's youth, women, children, and society at large. So yeah, I always love looking back on this SmartWorks era because she was so clever about it. She was really going through a lot personally in her life here during this era. Her hair looked amazing. She looked like a million doubloons, but she was going through like the brunt of the abuse in this era, and she was still thinking about others every step of the way. Classic Meghan. What do you guys think about this collection? What did you love about it? Do you have any of the pieces? Let me know. I would love to get my hands on one of those John Lewis bags. They were so cute. Like, share, subscribe, hype the video if you're so inclined. Join the membership. We have so much fun in members only and on the Discord. Buy me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/thepeoplesduchess or scanning this QR code here on your screen. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend, guys. Please be kind to yourselves. And until next time, bye for now.